Well, hi, it's nice to talk to you again, Josh. We had talked
Yeah,
for,
likewise, Jamie.
but thanks for talking to me. Appreciate it. Enjoying this series. What was it about this part that made you want to be a part of it? Either the script, this part, whatever.
It's definitely a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, the script was very compelling. I love procedurals. I was going to say it's a guilty pleasure, but it's not. It's just a great pleasure. And so I was getting really into procedurals, and then this came across my lap, and it was definitely more ambitious than a lot of the procedures I'd read or even seen. I mean, it opened with a man being burnt alive, so that's quite like that's a good hook. And then the character, obviously, reading the pilot and reading the character description, I was like, oh, there's a discrepancy here. Like it's described as all these things, charismatic and sincere, selfless, blah blah blah. And then you read the script and you're like, there's something a bit more there. There's something going on between the lines that I couldn't quite work out, but everything sat quite effortlessly in me. And there's a lot of times you don't really have to try much to make the words feel real. And that was the case with this one. So that was a big tip for me going, okay, cool. And I'd played a lot of I'd just come off a show where I was playing quite a heavy character. And this one was very different and I felt like an effortlessness and a weight lifted off. And then the team, I mean, JJ and Jake chatting with them was incredible. I was like, oh, these guys are so down to earth and happy to discuss. And Tor, who I worked with on La Brea, like I love that guy to pieces, man. He's such a cool dude and a great director. And then the line producer Jeff Rathner was on board, and he really looks after his actors, and he's really sweet, lovely guy, and like he's a friend now. I worked with him on La Brea, so it was like a combination of all these wonderful things that I was like, this is I really want to be part of this, and my instincts with the character were right and aligned with what JJ and Jake wanted for the character, and they couldn't work out how I guess, spoiled the character's arc within reading the first pilot. But every now and again, when a character sits with you in a certain way, you want things for it, or you feel things are going to go a certain way. It's just an instinct, I guess, you have off when you do a lot of these. And sometimes they align, and a lot of the times they don't. A lot of the times they're like, "What the hell were you doing? That's not at all what the character is." But with this one, it was just quite synchronistic and perfectly in line. So from that point, I was like, "Okay, this is something that's right."
Mhm.
I'm not going to be forcing anything here.
Fair
Yeah,
enough. No, we found out that his father, it seems like, had worked at the pit. Can you talk about this? Was a question I got off of, I guess it's X now. I still say Twitter, but can you
yeah,
talk about sort of how he feels seeing the results of what his father's done and kind of how that's affecting him as as he works going against these killers that he may or may not have dealt with?
yeah, yeah. Look, I think there's a lot more going on there than audiences know at this point. A lot more, and I think we will find out how Shane feels about all of this and what Shane's connection to it all is. Um, so I can't speak to that specifically, but I will say that's definitely something that will come to the surface within the next couple of episodes. Um, and we'll learn exactly what his relationship is with the pit, with Dallas, with his mission, his current mission of catching these guys. And also, we've got hints at how he feels about these experiments as well. And he knows that there's shady stuff going on. So he's still trying to get to the bottom of it as well. So these revelations that are happening to him are kind of happening in real time, right? So, there's a lot he knows, but there's also a lot he doesn't know. So, yeah, for him, it's more about the questions and yeah.
After he maybe discovers a bit more, is he going to start maybe sharing that with the rest of his team? Because right now he hasn't said anything.
No, no, he hasn't, and there's a reason for that. There's definitely a reason for that, and the 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 big thing for me going into this with the character, because as I said, it sat there was a core to him that kind of sat quite nicely within me. That I and once you take a job like this, you get very very protective of that core, um, and so for me, it's kind of like a case of the ends must justify the means, right? So So the what he's keeping from his team justify the goal and what the greater goal is. That makes sense. Um, so yeah, I'm trying not to give everything
No,
away,
no,
but
I know, I know. So talk, I mean, so far you don't have a lot of scenes with him. I don't know if maybe you have more coming up, but talk about getting to work with Matt for
that was Matt was great, man. Like I knew of him. Everyone knew of him from Max.
Bedroom.
What's it?
I
That's the
think
one,
it, yeah,
Max
I
Headroom.
think that's what it's called, Max Bedroom, yeah. Long time
Max
ago.
Headroom, yeah. And you know, I'd never seen that. That wasn't something. I'm from New Zealand, so we get a very you know, especially in the '90s or whenever that came out, we get a very limited scope of things we watch. But I watched a show called The Nick, which I absolutely freaking loved. And when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, that's the dude from The Nick. Like he plays this doctor who commits suicide in the first couple of episodes, and so that was cool because that's a show that I was like, wait, that's quality. And but then he's the most like lovely dude and great, you know, like my grandfather who got dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff, and that was a very tough time for our family. And so sitting down and then, you know, that first scene we see where he's at the piano and he's a bit out of it. And you know, he played it so it was like quite like, you know, triggering. Um, so yeah, working with them was great. And obviously when everyone was telling me about Max Headroom, I was like, oh, I've got to watch this. This sounds right up my alley. And I love Jeffrey Tambor. So I was like, holy smokes, how have I not heard of this show? And started going down that rabbit hole, which made me an even bigger fan. But
Talk
he's a very cool guy.
talk about working with Melissa and Jacob, because obviously most of your scenes are the three of you together become quite the team.
Yes.
So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of us like most of the time, every day. Like, you know, you spend in 12, 13, 14 hour days with these people. Um, and we, you know, in the preparation, we were there a week, you know, hanging out. And none of us are Vancouver locals. I think Melissa's from Vancouver, but she, you know, lives in New York or wherever. And Patrick's in New York. I'm in freaking New Australia. So we're all kind of in an area where we, you know, weren't normally living. You know, we kind of left a sort of life behind. So I'm not a very social person, but it was the most social I've ever been on a show. And having them as like a little support network, 'cause I had no one, I don't know anyone in Vancouver. So and we're there for like 6 months. So we developed a very strong friendship. Um, you know, me and Melissa, Patrick, and obviously Sarah and Nick as well. And you know, we would always go around, have dinners, and all this kind of stuff. So it was, yeah, very fun. I think we needed that as well because it's quite a dark show, you know,
yeah, I
and we
can't.
needed that levity and we needed these strong relationships to navigate a new show, like a new show that's very ambitious, you know, and deals with serial killers. So I think having that support from your fellow actor and that, you know, we all, you know, championed each other and just had a great time, like such fun and set a real positive tone on set every day, which
Yeah.
is so crucial.
It seems like fun. I was gonna say I like that there's a trio because usually there's like partners and it's interesting that it's all three of them. I like that. So
Yeah.
is there anything, I know we're almost out of time, but is there anything else that you can tease without spoiling too much that's coming up? I know you sort of talked about the other thing.
Um, Look, I can definitely tease that there's going to be some out the gate killers. There's some crazy stuff. You know, we explore like different terrains, different kind of psychological phenomena, and you will realize how integral to the greater conspiracy Shane is. Um, and you know, he's a slow burn character, but he is, well, possibly the the linchpin of it all. He's one of the keys to this puzzle.
It seems like it's a lot of fun, but is there anything that you've struggled with or found really challenging so far, other
Um,
than not being from there?
um, you know, the probably the hardest thing was, you know, with this character and kind of, you know, being protective of him was justifying a lot of the decisions that he makes to like do things that are not, I wouldn't say they're duplicitous, but you know. things that will come out in the next couple of episodes that I was like, oh man, that's like, you know, that's not a great thing to do. But does the end justify the means? You know, that's the big question. So that those were the most challenging things, was to be like, man, I don't feel good about doing
That's
this.
that's very great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know I see after the end of episode 7, I'm kind of like, that's so far away and I can't really ask too much, but I want to know what's going on. But all right.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll
Thank you,
talk to you
Jamie.
soon. Have a good,
Absolutely.
I know I talked to you before, but I still somehow always forget you're from New Zealand till you start talking. Oh yeah, I forgot
Well,
that.
it's a good thing then.
Yeah,
That,
no,
that,
no,
that
it is a
obviously
good
means I'm
thing, but
doing
I
a good job.
completely forgot. And I'm like, I should know better. I talked to you before. All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Jamie. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye bye.